I suck at video ideas. So last year I used a site called spin.mo, which would go through thousands of random anime and let fate decide which 3 series I should talk about. Since I am in dire need of a Macross break and I don't really have any other video ideas, I thought this would be a fun topic to revisit since it basically has endless potential. If you haven't seen my last video, I ended up with 2 shows that were actually surprisingly enjoyable, and one that was so painfully boring that the only thing I can remember is seeing monkeys. Still though, amongst the thousands of garbage shows out there, getting 2 good ones is honestly kinda surprising. So let's hope that luck can carry over into this video, with our first show being... Takahashi Rumiko Gakicho Ningo no Mori, aka Mermaid Forest. Wait, Takahashi Rumiko? As in, creator of Ranma 1/2 Inuyasha, and most importantly, Urusei Yatsura Takahashi Rumiko? I swear I didn't rig this, I actually recorded my rolls this time. If you haven't noticed by my background music, images used in the community tab, my designated straw man, and even dedicated shitpost videos on my second channel, Urusei Yatsura is one of my favorite anime of all time. I mean, sure, Mermaid Forest isn't one of her most acclaimed works, but how could the creator of Shutaro Mendo, the funniest character on television, possibly make something bad? Welp, I just finished Mermaid Forest, and Rumiko, what the fuck was that? It wasn't even bad. It was actually really good, but what the fuck? Alright, let me elaborate real quick. Rumiko is someone who's shown to have good range with her storytelling. Urusei Yatsura is a highly episodic rom-com. Maisane Koku, while being a bit more subdued and leaning heavier into romance, is still a rom-com at heart. Ranma 1/2 spiced things up with some action, but it was still largely a rom-com. Inuyasha was largely a serialized story with a bigger focus on action and adventure, but guess what? It still had romantic and comedic elements. That's Rumiko's forte, creating goofs and gags with a little bit of love on the side, but Mermaid Forest? She was feeling evil when she made this one. This is a straight-up horror story with basically no goofs or gags to be had. I don't think there was a single joke, but there is still a little bit of love. Mermaid Forest is the anime adaptation of her manga Mermaid Saga, which focuses on, well, mermaids. But these aren't your wholesome 100 Kingdom Hearts rhythm minigame mermaids, no. They're disgusting, scary monster creatures who try to eat humans. But believe it or not, that's not the conflict of this series. In fact, it's the opposite. This series focuses on humans who eat mermaids. People throughout history managed to capture these beasts and thought it'd be a great idea to eat them, as people who eat mermaid flesh are said to either become immortal, or die, or turn into a scary monster. It's really a 1 in 3 chance. Well, it's a gamble our protagonist Yuta won, as he ate mermaid flesh 500 years ago and is still kicking. Well, ain't he just a lucky guy? Just kidding, he's not lucky at all, cause immortality fucking sucks. He's outlived his loved ones, he's run out of interesting things to do, and the only way to actually die is if he cuts off his head. But he doesn't want to die in such a gruesome way. He wants to regain his mortality and die naturally, surrounded by loved ones. So the series follows Yuta's journey to regain his mortality, as he's eventually joined by another immortal girl named Mana, who he ends up saving from being eaten by a village of secret mermaids. Yuta's hardened demeanor and Mana's naivety from being isolated for so long creates a cute dynamic. I liked seeing them grow to accept the fact that, while they might not be able to get their mortality back, they could still find solace in the fact they'll be together forever. It's a nice little romance subplot, however, the real strength of this series lies in the horror elements. The mermaid flesh system has all sorts of specific quirks that allow Rumiko to be really creative with the scenarios. Whether it's an immortal child tricking women into eating mermaid flesh so he could have a mother that lasts, a guy using mermaid flesh on someone who already died so he could use her walking corpse as his doll, or a woman experimenting with it on her dying twin sister as they have identical genetics, there's always a unique story being told, and it never goes in the direction you'd expect. Some of this shit seriously had my jaw on the floor. While the story is great, that's kinda just praising the source material, so how does the 2003 anime stand up as an adaptation? Honestly, that's where things begin to falter. It's not bad per se, it does adapt the full story concisely, and I enjoyed the voice acting and soundtrack, but visually speaking, I don't think it fully does the manga's art justice. The animation itself isn't bad, I just found the color palette to be dull, the expression work to be weak, and due to TV censorship, a lot of the gore had to be toned down. These are all elements that can contribute greatly to a great horror story, so having them lacking kinda dampens that element. Especially the gore, because these characters are immortal, which allows them to get cut, slashed, and mangled freely. But aside from the last episode that was straight to DVD, we don't really get a whole lot of that here. Overall though, Mermaid Forest / Mermaid Saga is a fantastic series worth experiencing through any means possible. While I'd still recommend reading the manga for its more interesting presentation, the anime does just enough to make it a serviceable way to experience the series. So good job Spin.mo, we started off strong again, let's see if we could keep the streak going. Next up, we got 1994 series ARAZM the Animation. This is a 6-episode OVA prequel to the live-action ZRAM movies. I've never heard of this series before, so you know what, let's check out who worked on it. Director Tetsuro Amino. Wait a second. The director this time was Tetsuro Amino, who worked on a bunch of shows that I've honestly never heard of. It was there all along. I swear I didn't rig the roll. I have the proof right here. I made this video to take a break from Macross 7, but dude, this show even came out in the same year. How did this happen? I'm trapped. I'm trapped in an endless purgatory of Planet Dancing and Totsugeki Love Hearting. I can't escape. Anyways, ARAZM is about the titular character, Aria, a bounty hunter on a mission to find her missing brother, after their confrontation with a powerful alien known as ZRAM causes him to go missing. And I gotta say, dude, the fact I've never heard of this series until now is a fucking crime, cause it is awesome. The first thing I noticed was just how good the art was. The character designs, especially Aria's, are badass. The animation itself is pretty smooth. The action choreography is spot on, I especially like the tower climb scene in episode 3. And the environmental design is especially unique. It blends architectural and technological elements from both the past and future, while populating the world with all sorts of characters and machinery. It's a strange world, but it's definitely one that feels alive. As for the writing, I found Aria to be a pretty well-developed character. She starts off as a helpless rookie who's over-reliant on her brother, but once he's taken away, she grows into a badass fighter of her own. There's her comrade Bob, who becomes an AI companion after his body is lost during the starting expedition. Fujikoro, a jaded veteran bounty hunter who grows to care for Aria as the series progresses. And finally Kei, a mischievous child raised in the slums who grows to admire Aria after she's the only one willing to defend their district. Between the more chill, comedic elements and the more tragic, emotional beats, I found that they achieved quite a lot in its 6-episode run. They all had solid arcs and different enough backgrounds to help showcase the different facets of this world. And as for the villain ZRAM, despite being a bloodthirsty, mindless monster who doesn't even speak, he does function well as an intimidating, reoccurring threat. Even if he does kinda sound like Donald Duck.
Today I went to YouTube and I did a search for how to do a Donald Duck voice.
If I had to give this series one criticism, it'd have to be the ending. I'm not gonna spoil too much, but just know it left a lot unresolved. And it's because, like I said earlier, this is a prequel to the live-action films. But those aren't what this video is about. It's not called watching 3 random live-action movies, so I guess I'm gonna have to watch them on my own time. Overall though, this is a very fun and underrated series that I'd recommend to just about any sci-fi fan out there. You know, Spin.mo really has had a pattern. Last video I got 2 good anime and 1 bad one, and here we are now with 2 good ones again. So really there's 2 paths here, either we finish with another bad one and loop the pattern, or we get 3 straight bangers. This was not a straight banger. This is Hono no Mirage, also known as Mirage of Blaze, also known as a good substitute for melatonin. See, when I looked at the tags and saw Boys Love, I thought, wow, a Starlight Yaoi review, this will be freaking epic. I mean, I've seen all of Free twice, I'm basically a yaoi expert, but nah, this show fucking sucks. The story takes heavy influence from real Japanese history, which I'm not against. Learning history, especially from other cultures, can be fascinating as long as it's taught in an interesting way. Like my 10th grade history teacher, he sent us a video lesson where he built a wall of coffee and called it the fortified caffeine bunker. God, he was so cool. But this show doesn't have any fortified caffeine bunkers, no, it's just pure boredom. The plot revolves around this guy, Takaya Ogi, who is actually the reincarnation of a famous warlord from the Sengoku period, Yasugi Kagetora. His retainer, Naoe, has also reincarnated. But unlike Takaya, he's retained all of his memories from his past life, and thus he spends the series devoting himself to Takaya, trying to rebuild him into the powerful warrior he once was. But why does a high school student need to become a warrior in modern day Japan? Because there's still scary ghosts that need exorcising, of course. I mean, hey, I never said it was historically accurate. So the series is pretty much just Takaya teaming up with Naoe and other reincarnated Japanese warriors to stop the evil spirits and learn more about his past. It's not a terrible idea on paper, but the execution is incredibly boring. He doesn't actually learn anything through his own experiences. A good 90% of the show is just the characters sitting there as Naoe explains his past. And the story's only loosely inspired by the real events, so I'm not even actually learning anything here. No good action, no endearing character moments, and no history to even be learned. What am I doing? In fact, I didn't come out of this show loving the characters. I fucking hated them, especially Naoe. You wanna know why Takaya lost his memories upon reincarnating? Because he chose to. Because he was traumatized. Why was he traumatized? Because Naoe raped and killed his lover out of jealousy. He even tries raping Takaya later on. What the fuck is this character? I know toxic yaoi is like the hot thing for all those fujoshis out there, but there's a line and I think being a rapist crosses it. Naoe isn't toxic, he's just an absolute monster, and worst of all, this show barely does anything to reprimand him for it. In fact, it rewards him for it. He gets what he wants, he gets Takaya's love. Look, I'm half gay myself. I enjoy a good gay romance, but like any other romance, it has to feel earned. You know what doesn't earn someone a romance? Fucking rape and murder! You cannot just shrug off such a serious topic so casually. That is not how it works. Calm down, Starlight. It's just a cartoon. Can't you at least say, like, one positive thing about the series? Shut the fuck up, you baby bastard. This show's boring anyways. But fine. A good thing. The dub is so bad that it's kind of funny. That's the only enjoyment I got out of it.
Bare-handed? A shovel? What, are you thinking of digging a hole to get us out of here? You must be going out of your mind!
I could have dug a hole and buried her.
It's not just the story that sucks though, the soundtrack is completely forgettable, and the art is frankly just really ugly. The characters have these long stretched out faces, and they lack distinct features to help distinguish them from one another. All these designs just blur together in my mind. I couldn't tell you what any of these characters look like off the top of my head. It doesn't help the show has this gross, muddy color palette consisting mostly of browns and grays. It's just a miserable time. I said it in my last video, and I'll say it again. The fact that amazing series such as Mermaid Saga or Iria have been buried underneath slop like this is so disheartening. Series like Mirage of Blaze contribute to the misconception that if a series isn't recognizable, then it must be because it's bad, when that couldn't be further from the truth. If you take anything from these videos, it's that you should be willing to take more risk. I've seen 6 series that I've literally never heard of, and out of these 6, I vastly enjoyed 4 of them. Sure, I got really lucky with my spins, and branching out does mean you'll inevitably hit some garbage, but you're not making a YouTube video. If you come across a bad show, you can just drop it and move on. So don't let a few bad experiences keep you from branching out. There are great series out there that do deserve your attention. Like Macross 7! That's right, the video's over. I gotta go back to the Macross dungeon. See you guys next time!